everybody, welcome back to the homestead. Well, you can see blue skies behind me. Last night it rained all night, it rained all day yesterday. So today it's very breezy, very windy, and it's chilly out. We're in the mid-40s. I'm out here stomping around in the mud. For those of you that have been following, you know I like to get out when it snows to look at tracks. And what I'm doing today is, I'll show you here. These tracks here I made yesterday, right before it started raining really hard. And these are my tracks. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to learn what tracks look like under certain conditions. These are yesterday's tracks before the heavy rains. And this over here are today's tracks. And yes, they're in mud. So what I'm trying to do is look at tracks under certain conditions. One day I may be tracking deer or elk or whatever, and if I find a set of tracks, I want to be able to accurately, as best as possible, figure out how old those tracks are. And right now, yes, I'm using my own tracks, but I'm just simply trying to learn. There's another fresh one. And there's yesterday's. So, you know, just trying to learn sign. So now I know, basically, what a track might look like if it's been raining, how fresh it might be, and obviously what type of track. And that's the game plan for today. Had to get outside. Like I said, we're about 45 degrees out here, and inside the house is 85 degrees, which is one of the reasons why I had to come outside. It's way too hot in there. Sometimes it's a little hard to regulate the wood stove, the wood burning stove. But at least it's nice and warm in there, and it should last most of the day, probably into the early evening. But definitely very, very breezy, very windy. And even though it's in the mid-40s, it feels maybe mid-30s right now because of the wind. I believe the rain comes back tomorrow. And in fact, this morning about 8 o'clock, we actually got a little bit of snow for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And obviously it didn't stick around. And there you go. Muddy, muddy, muddy. But thanks for joining, folks. Thanks for tuning in. A lesson in tracking. I'm trying to learn out here. I wish I could say I knew what I was doing, but it's a learning process. And it's a lot of fun, folks. The last time I really ever learned anything was during my school days. You know, besides work, besides being trained at work, it's always nice to learn something new. And I've always been interested in learning something new all the time. And even though we're out here in the middle of nowhere, out in muddy northern Arizona, we're learning things. We're learning how to be self-sufficient as much as possible, and learning how to deal with the elements, the weather, and learning how to track. So I'm learning something. It's fun. It's always fun to learn something. Take care, everybody. Take care of your families. Enjoy your day. And we'll talk to you next time.